Chainsaw Devil. Pochita, the Chainsaw Devil, embodies the fear of chainsaws and was once the infamous Chainsaw Man before fusing with Denji's heart. After barely surviving a battle with the Four Horsemen and Weapon Devils, Pochita was left in a weakened state where he turned into a small, adorable doll-like creature with a chainsaw protruding from his head. But his true devil form, dubbed as the Hero of Hell, is a massive humanoid figure with 4 arms, each ending in chainsaws, plus another one on his head. When Denji saved his life, Pochita formed a bond with him, and this bond defines much of his character. He willingly sacrifices independence to become Denji's heart to save him from dying, turning him into a hybrid and granting him the ability to transform into Chainsaw Man to fulfill a promise born from their mutual trust. As Denji's heart, Pochita retains his dog-like form, but without the chainsaw on its head. Instead, he has a cord that hangs out of Denji's chest. Whenever the cord is pulled, chainsaws rev out of his head and arms transform into Chainsaw Man. In his true form, Pochita's overwhelming strength often leads to unintentional harm, like his infamous burger joint rampage, where his inability to control his power resulted in accidental deaths. But what makes Pochita truly terrifying is his unique ability to erase devils by devouring them and wiping their concept from existence, although the erasure process can be partial. For example, after partially consuming the War Devil, the idea of war still exists, but no wars have occurred since. He can also literally vomit up devils he consumed to bring their concepts back into existence. And he gets to decide which ones to spit out, like when he brought back the Snow Devil and Bitterness Devil to help Denji remember those concepts during a tough moment. It's still a bit of a mystery whether Pochita can regurgitate any devil he's ever eaten, or just the ones he recently devoured. His concept erasing ability is so feared that it caused international conflict, with powerful figures like Makima needing to manipulate the world's perception to weaken him. Even in his hybrid form, Pochita remains a near-invincible powerhouse. His chainsaws extend into chains, allowing him to grab and pull enemies towards him, while his regeneration is so advanced that he can completely reform his body from just a heart, even after extreme damage, such as re-entry burns from space. During his brutal abilities, Pochita uses his powers selectively, only targeting devils that pose a real threat to humanity or Denji's dreams. In certain situations, Pochita can basically hijack Denji's body without him even pulling the cord, especially when Denji's head is totally messed up. One of the biggest examples is when he took control after Denji completely lost it seeing Nayuta's severed head. For Denji, Nayuta is basically like a little sister since he was ready to give up everything to give her a good life. But when he fails to do that, that moment rips away the last bit of what was keeping him together emotionally and pushes him into pure despair and fury. Taking his real form, the Chainsaw Devil went absolutely wild, massacring a bunch of public safety agents around and wiping out devils who work for public safety. Darkness Devil. The Darkness Devil is a primal devil who embodies humanity's primal fear of the dark. Serving as the main threat in the International Assassins arc, this devil is insanely powerful, intelligent, and brutally efficient at eliminating anything it sees as a threat. During the chaotic Hell encounter, the Darkness Devil instantly established itself as a force of nature as it effortlessly dismantled a team of devil hunters and assassins, dismembering and defeating characters like Toka, Kusakabe, Bean, Kwang Shi, Tomoki, and the Violence Fiend. Even Denji in his chainsaw form couldn't stand up to its overwhelming power. It inflicted severe injuries on Aki and the Angel Devil, and even when Makima showed up to confront it, the Darkness Devil held its ground, wounding her before the Hell Devil transported everyone back. As a primal devil, the Darkness Devil has never experienced death as humanity has no means of attack that could kill a primal fear. It thrives in the dark where it can regenerate from any injury. Its abilities include manipulating darkness itself, surrounding bisected astronaut corpses, and conjuring a blade with bells that causes anyone it strikes to hemorrhage. It can also dismember or obliterate enemies simply by pointing at them or uttering an unreadable word. Santa Claus struck a deal to deliver Denji's heart to Hell in exchange for a fragment of the Darkness Devil's flesh. This gave Santa Claus insane power, allowing her to manipulate darkness and enhance her abilities. The Darkness Devil abilities can even nullify regeneration. It permanently dismembered Angel and caused Aki to lose an arm. However, some characters, like Kobeni and Power, were able to recover from its attacks, so the extent of this ability isn't entirely clear. Interestingly, its powers seem to weaken in the presence of light. Denji managed to defeat a darkness-powered Santa Claus by lighting himself on fire, producing enough light to counteract her abilities. Still, as a primal devil, the Darkness Devil is likely far beyond being killed by such tactics. Control Devil. Makima, the Control Devil, embodies the fear of control and was one of the Four Horsemen. As the Chief Cabinet Security's personal devil hunter, she plays a critical role in the Japanese government and took Denji in as her pet. She kept her true devil identity hidden by posing as a human contracted with a devil. After Aki's death, Makima dropped her friendly act and revealed her darker side to Denji. She openly admitted that she was a necessary evil, a weapon for the Japanese government, just like how the Gun Devil is under the control of the US government. Fascinated by the Hero of Hell, Makima was obsessed with his ability to erase devils from existence by consuming them. Her goal is to bring Chainsaw Man under her control and use his powers to create a world without fear, death, or even bad movies. However, her true wish was simpler: to live a happy life with Pochita, like a family, something she could never have as the Control Devil who struggles to form equal relationships. Makima's power as a devil were as terrifying as they were versatile. She could control anyone she saw as beneath her, from humans to devils, animals, and even fiends. Victims of her control lost memories of their actions while under her influence. She could summon and channel the powers of those she controlled, including deceased individuals, using chains connected to her body. This allowed her to form a squad of hybrid fighters, including former enemies like Reize, Quangshi, and Katana Man, who became completely loyal to her. Makima's control wasn't limited to people. She could use rats, birds, or other small animals to spy on conversations worldwide, even in hell. She could also travel by merging with swarms of rats, reappearing wherever they're gathered. Her ability to project an invisible force allowed her to crush targets, cause internal damage with a mere glance, or even destroy enemies from a distance using sacrificial rituals. She used this technique from shrines, requiring a target's name and a human sacrifice, leaving no trace of damage except for the destruction of her target. Her contract with the Japanese Prime Minister made her nearly immortal, as any fatal damage she suffered was transferred as illness or an injury to a random citizen of Japan. This allowed her to survive being shot in the head multiple times and even withstand attacks from the Gun Devil. However, Denji ended her reign of control when he hit her with a chainsaw imbued with Power's blood and later consumed her remains. After her death, Makima reincarnated as Nayuta, the new incarnation of the Control Devil. Kishibe entrusted Nayuta to Denji, hoping he could raise her as a kinder, more compassionate version of her past self. Nayuta shares some of Makima's powers, like her chain abilities, but with limitations. For example, she can only fire 3 chains at once and struggles to control certain individuals, possibly those tied to Makima's past. Additionally, she can erase or alter memories and even tweak sensory perceptions, like taste. When she first met Denji, she totally wanted to rip his heart out, but after hanging around him for a while, she actually started caring about the guy and ditched that whole plan. She even put Denji first before herself, mind-controlling some random person from this crazy mob to get Denji out of there while she was getting beaten up. The two ended up like siblings and really looked out for each other. To keep Nayuta safe from public safety, Denji stopped turning into Chainsaw Man. Nayuta gets killed by the bloodthirsty crowd after making sure Denji gets carried away to safety. Her chopped off head gets served up as sushi right in front of Denji's face. This makes Denji completely losing it, bringing back Pochita's real form through his body to fight the public safety guys waiting outside. Her death is a huge turning point, though we don't actually see her die on screen. Some fans think she might not really be dead, comparing it to how Power died but could potentially return. Death Devil. The Death Devil is said to be the strongest devil of primal fear status, representing the ultimate fear, death itself. She's also the oldest of the 4 horsemen. Way back, the horsemen got into a vicious fight with Pochita in hell, but right when things were heating up, Pochita straight up disappeared. What they didn't know was that he escaped to Earth, barely clinging to life in a drastically weakened form, which is why the Control Devil couldn't track him down despite her efforts. And the most devastating revelation of the current arc is revealed that the Death Devil had been impersonating Fami from the very beginning. The Death Devil's true plan was far more complex than anyone realized. While posing as Fami, she orchestrated massive schemes, including unleashing the Falling Devil on Earth, controlling hundreds of thousands of civilians through the Fire Devil, and manipulating both Yoru and Denji for her ultimate goal. Her powers as a primal fear include the ability to control those she kills by turning them into miniature dolls, which she can then summon and command. She finds it more respectful and delicious to devour her victims alive rather than killing them first. The Death Devil can also summon murders of crows to devour her enemies, and has the terrifying ability to force compliance through her doll-making powers. According to Nostradamus' prophecy, she was supposed to descend to Earth in July of 1999 to bring the apocalypse. wiping out humanity and starting the Age of the Devils. But her impersonation of Fami shows that she's been active on Earth much longer than anyone suspected. Right after the real Fami shows up, the Death Devil reveals herself and tells the Falling Devil to crush both Fami and the fake Chainsaw Man. When Fami begs her to just die already to keep humanity safe, Death strips off her school uniform to show that she still can't die even after ripping out all of her organs. She explains that even if she could die, another Death Devil would spawn who would likely be less sympathetic to humans than her. She then uses a bunch of crows to literally eat Fami and the fake Chainsaw Man alive, then pukes up these tiny doll versions of them and brings them back. She basically forces them to spread as much terror as they can, since being dolls means that they have to do whatever she says. Later, when Fami drags Denji's unconscious body into some classroom, Death wakes him up and drops the truth bomb that she was never really the Famine Devil. When she finally reveals her true identity to Denji, she instructs him to call her Little D instead of Fami. She spills about Yoru's actual plan. She wants to turn Denji into a weapon that will erase death completely, which would mean no more death for anyone ever. Basically, Yoru's twisted dream is to create an endless war where immortal humans would just hate and hurt each other forever. Death's bummed because her powers were supposed to kick in and wipe out humanity, but all her attempts to prevent that prophecy just made the future even more screwed up. Denji's not buying any of this until Mirisugo backs up Death's story and confirms she's telling the truth. Then Death shows Denji her stomach to get him to work with them, and he agrees to help stop the War Devil.
GamerSupps is an energy and nootropic formula designed to be a healthier, cheaper, and more effective beverage over energy drinks for gamers or the modern anime weeb on the go. Its blend of essential vitamins, caffeine, and nootropics provide a consistent boost with no jitters and no crash. It has 0 sugar, less than 1 carb, and less than 1 calorie per serving, so it's keto and diabetic safe. Plus, there's sugar-free options. I personally drink it all the time to be able to grind out these straight-to-the-point and informative videos for you guys, and they'll likely be the only sponsor you'll ever see on this channel. So help the channel stay mostly sponsor-free by clicking the link in our description, picking from the many tasty and uniquely named flavors on the website, and use our code ANIMEX at checkout to save 10% on your order. It would be a huge help for us. Also, pick yourself up a aesthetically interesting waifu cup while you're at it too. They're collectible. But anyway.
Famine Devil. The Famine Devil, better known as Fami, represents the fear of starvation and is one of the 4 horsemen. So here's the wildest plot twist. Turns out, the Fami we've been following this whole time? Yeah, it's not actually her. The real Fami shows up as this new transfer student at 4th East High School, and she's this awkward, messy-haired girl with those creepy, concentric eyes who keeps saying she wants to save everyone. Her classmates are totally weirded out by her, especially when they try to prep for the school festival. One girl literally tells her to go outside and squash ants just to get rid of her, and she actually does it. Some guy follows her out to be nice, and that's when she reveals that she's a devil and starts using her powers on him to prove it. But then the Chainsaw Man shows up and she freezes. But it's actually the fake Chainsaw Man, and these 2 devils start going at it. The fight ends with the new girl getting sliced in half. And the student is pissed because he thinks Chainsaw Man just murdered some random schoolgirl. But while they're arguing, fake Chainsaw Man sees the devil's arm grab the boy and drains his life force to bring her back. She pops back up and tells him that he's got 3 seconds to live, but gets her head chopped off immediately. She tries bribing fake Chainsaw Man with like 2,000 yen, which obviously doesn't work. When she says she still needs to save people, he argues that even though she wants to end their suffering through death, she doesn't get that people still have hope even when things suck. He calls her out to be the Death Devil, and this seems to click something for her. She regenerates by draining the life from those ants nearby and finally introduces herself properly. She's the horseman who drains life and ends suffering through death. Famine, but she goes by Fami. Fake Chainsaw Man is confused. Wasn't she supposed to be the Death Devil? Before she can explain that Death is actually her sister, Fami calls in the Falling Devil to crush them both. So the Fami we knew all along was actually the Death Devil pretending to be Fami. Fake Chainsaw Man figures this out right away, and the real Fami is begging her sister to just die already to keep humanity safe. Both Fami and the fake Chainsaw Man get consumed and brainwashed into serving Death Devil. Now, Death's on her terror mission, with Fami throwing rocks at random people and asking if they're scared of her yet. Eventually, Fami and Death find Denji passed out somewhere and drag him into some random classroom. When Denji wakes up, Death explains who she really is, and that the other person who brought him there is the actual Famine Devil. Denji looks around and sees Fami lying on the ground, while Death breaks down their whole messed up situation. Falling Devil. The Falling Devil, the second primal devil introduced in Chainsaw Man, embodies the primal fear of falling, both the physical act of falling and the emotional spiral into depression. She takes center stage as the main antagonist of the Falling Devil arc, though she's ultimately the Death Devil's pawn. When she appeared on Earth, she assembles a body from mangled human corpses, creating a large, feminine, headless humanoid form with hands for feet and a chef's uniform. Her eerie chef persona extends to her speech as she refers to her attacks as courses and insists her victims enjoy their trauma-filled meals. While she generally avoids killing humans unless they're needed as ingredients for her dishes, her real cruelty lies in breaking her victims mentally by driving them to suicide rather than directly taking their lives. As Death's pawn, the Falling Devil dutifully carries out her orders, even apologizing for failing to fulfill her master's wishes. She's also obedient enough to let herself be turned into a figurine for Death's convenience. As a primal fear, the Falling Devil is essentially unkillable. She regenerates from any damage instantly, without needing blood or stamina. For instance, she's reduced to a pile of gore by gunfire, but is back on her feet in moments, clothes and all. Even when Denji shreds and eats her, she quickly reassembles inside his body and tears him apart in the process. One of her signature abilities is opening doors to hell, letting her freely travel between realms and send others there. She also manipulates gravity on a massive scale, capable of reversing it to send people flying into the sky, with some of them falling into floating doors leading to hell or causing earthquakes and landslides detectable worldwide. Her gravity powers let her move at high speeds and destroy areas by reversing gravity entirely, or focus on a single target for precise control. The Falling Devil adds psychological warfare to her arsenal by forcing victims to relive their worst memories by tying their trauma to her gravity manipulation. This ability can be resisted if a victim's brain is damaged, as Denji demonstrated by slicing up his own. With her sharp, scythe-like limbs, she's deadly in combat, capable of stopping Chainsaw Man in his tracks with just one finger. She can also unleash a powerful beam of energy from the sky that she uses to annihilate the Justice Devil for vomiting the dish she prepared. During her fight against the War Devil in the current arc, the Falling Devil is ultimately defeated by Yoru, who turns her into clothing after remembering her true power. Gun Devil. The Gun Devil represents humanity's fear of guns and firearms. Even though its full form is never fully shown in the manga, it's described as having a complete body, legs, feet, flesh, and bones when it first appeared during the devastating attacks on November 18th. Like all devils, the Gun Devil has standard abilities, such as making contracts with humans in exchange for a price, and possessing dead bodies to create fiends. One notable contract was with the President of the United States, who offered 1 year of life from every American citizen to summon 20% of the Gun Devil's body and use it to kill Makima. When summoned, the Gun Devil appeared as a massive humanoid figure with massive rifles for arms and a skeletal face featuring an enormous gun barrel. Despite his terrifying power, this 20% wasn't enough to take down Makima, who ultimately defeated it. Afterward, the Gun Devil's remnants possessed Aki's corpse, turning him into a gun fiend. As the gun fiend, the devil had weakened powers and Aki's appearance drastically changed. His hair hung loose, dark veins covered his face, and a massive pistol sat on his head. Even in this state, the gun fiend was still incredibly dangerous, able to fire bullets with precision and enough power to tear through buildings and opponents like Denji. The Gun Devil's raw strength is insane, as it was able to kill 1.2 million people across the world in just 5 minutes. Its speed was so intense that chunks of its flesh burned off as it moved and scattered like bullets. These flesh pieces became a power booster for other devils who consumed them, significantly enhancing their abilities. Currently, the Gun Devil's body is fragmented and scattered worldwide. According to Makima, 20% is held by the US, 28% by the Soviet Union, 11% by China, 4% by other nations, and the remaining 37% is scattered among devils. The flesh pieces have a passive ability to rejoin and regenerate the Gun Devil's body. When active, Gun Devil can fire bullets from its many weapon-like body parts. These bullets can target specific groups with horrifying precision, such as every adult male within 1 kilometer or every child within 1.5 kilometers. Even in its weakened fiend form, it remains devastatingly lethal. Doll Devil. The Doll Devil represents the fears of dolls, but its true form has never been revealed. The only time it was ever seen was when it possessed Tokka's body. Not much is known about the Doll Devil, but it seems to have a friendly connection with Santa Claus, since it helped her make a deal with the Darkness Devil. The Doll Devil's main contract was with Santa Claus, though the price for that deal was never specified. Santa Claus gained the ability to turn people into dolls that follow her command. This happens through touch, and the effect spreads like a chain. Once a doll touches someone else, they turn into a doll too. These dolls can also morph one of their arms into blades. However, Santa has to stay nearby to keep control over them, and there's no way to reverse the process to turn dolls back into humans. Interestingly, the transformation doesn't work on devils, fiends, or hybrids, but if a fiend dies, their corpse can still be turned into a doll. During the Hell sequence, Santa Claus made a contract with the Hell Devil, sending a group of devil hunters, along with Tolka, to Hell. After that, the doll devil possessed Tolka's body to fulfill Santa's deal with the Darkness Devil. Once the contract was completed, the doll devil left Tolka's body behind, letting it decay in Hell. Hell Devil. The Hell Devil represents the fear of Hell itself. It usually shows up as a massive hand with 6 fingers that reaches down from a door in the sky connected to Hell. With this ability, the Hell Devil can pick and send people straight to Hell. The only 2 contracts we've seen with it so far are with Santa Claus, in exchange for 3 children and one of our perfect dolls. Santa got the Hell Devil's help to send everyone in a particular building to Hell, and the other contract is with the Anti-Makima Squad, which made a deal to summon the Hell Devil physically by sacrificing their own lives. 6 of the Devil Hunters comprising the squad cut their throats to summon and command it to kill Makima and drag her to Hell. However, the Hell Devil didn't last long when it went up against Chainsaw Man. In his full devil form, Denji absolutely shredded the Hell Devil into pieces. The series later showed one of the Devil Hunters reviving the Hell Devil by feeding it blood so it can use its powers again, this time to send Chainsaw Man to Hell. War Devil. The War Devil, also known as Yoru, represents the fear of war and is one of the 4 horsemen. After getting partially devoured by Pochita and reducing her to a near-death state, Yoru later takes over Asa's body right as she is getting killed and becomes a fiend. But instead of completely taking over, Yoru lets Asa keep living, so they end up sharing the same body. Interestingly, if Yoru is in control and Asa gets scared, Yoru loses control and can't take over again until Asa calms down. Yoru has a pretty terrifying power. She can turn anything she owns into a weapon. This includes objects and even living beings like humans, devils, and fiends. At first, Yoru had to touch whatever she wanted to turn it into a weapon and say the weapon's name. But over time, her power grew. Now, she and Asa can create weapons without even touching the object and can summon them telekinetically from any distance without saying the name out loud. The strength of the weapon depends on the amount of guilt Asa or Yoru feel about creating it. The more guilt, the more powerful the weapon. For example, turning something with a strong personal or emotional connection into a weapon would create something way stronger. So far, they made melee weapons like swords and spears, as well as explosives like grenades. When Yoru turns a devil she owns into a weapon, she can tap into any contract tied to that devil and use them to her advantage. She showed this off when she activated the contract the National Pistol Association made with the Gun Devil to unlock a special ability. To do this, Yoru had to sacrifice the index finger of around 40,000 members of the National Pistol Association. After that, she transformed the Statue of Liberty into a creepy crowned creature holding a rifle. The rifle can shoot giant bullets shaped like severed fingers, and this creature was powerful enough to take out buildings and even seriously hurt the Chainsaw Devil at Yoru's command. In the current arc, Yoru's real plan turns out to be way more messed up than anyone thought. After Yoru's having a blast with Denji, blowing up abandoned buildings around Tokyo with her finger gun, Asa takes back control and begs Denji to kill her. Otherwise, she'll kill him, since she knows Yoru's planning something worse than just wiping out humanity. When Denji won't do it, she just slumps on the floor and tells him that she feels terrible about all the people Yoru murdered because she couldn't stop her. During their fight with the Falling Devil, Yoru gets completely wrecked by the Primal Devil. But then, something clicks for Yoru. She remembers something super important. She fights back by slicing the Falling Devil up with a sword. She's crying and wondering why she forgot something so crucial, or why she's just now remembering it, before she cuts up the regenerating Falling Devil so badly that her torso basically disappears. With her enemy finally down, she walks over to Denji, but gets distracted by the breaking news on TV. Apparently, because of everything that's happened, the US and Soviet Union are now at full-scale war, with America using some devil-killing weapon on Soviet cities. An assistant gives the news anchor more details about how the weapon was meant to end the war quickly and runs on atomic energy. Yoru's totally shocked when she realizes humanity just reinvented nukes. Once she remembers nuclear weapons exist, Yoru wonders why she's thinking about the nuclear weapons devil, since Chainsaw Man ate it. She looked at Denji, wondered if he coughed it back up, then laughs to herself. The War Devil figures out it's because America literally rebuilt nuclear weapons from scratch during their war with the Soviets. Meanwhile, the Falling Devil heals from Yoru's brutal attack and tries fighting back, but Yoru appears right behind her. Flashing a peace sign, Yoru says she won and turns the primal fear into a new outfit, saying she was getting cold. The Falling Devil can't believe she lost as her body falls apart. As all her memories come back, Yoru smiles with this crazy clarity. She was in love with America. She thanks the country for making her powerful, scary, and irresistible. She starts singing the Star-Spangled Banner. While she's singing, Yoru sees visions of destroyed Soviet cities from America's attacks, people digging through rubble, and rows of burned corpses. When she finishes singing with her new outfit ready, Yoru stands tall with her hand over her heart. Asa stands behind her, looking worried, and asks if Yoru's really going through with her horrible plans for humanity. The War Devil tells Asa to stay put and watch before walking off. Somewhere else, Denji wakes up in some random classroom after someone pulls his ripcord. Turns out the person who brought him back is the Death Devil. Death explains that Yoru got way stronger than expected once people got scared of war again because America's fight with the Soviet Union brought back nuclear weapons. Even though she doesn't know where Yoru is, Death says she's on a killing spree, building up a huge devil army and planning to use Denji as a weapon to erase her. Denji asks Death what would happen if Death got erased, and she explains it would create a world where nobody can die from anything ever. Basically, Yoru's goal is to create an endless world war where humans would suffer forever to the point that they'll just be praying for death. This revelation shows that Yoru's endgame isn't just defeating her sister, but trapping humanity in endless warfare without the mercy of death. Nuclear Weapons Devil. The Nuclear Weapons Devil is a shocking revelation from the current arc. Originally eaten by Pochita and erased from existence, nuclear weapons were completely forgotten by humanity. However, during a war between United States and the Soviet Union in the current arc, America independently reinvented nuclear weapons as a devil-killing weapon, inadvertently bringing the nuclear weapons devil back into existence without Pochita regurgitating it. This return of nuclear weapons dramatically empowers Yoru, the War Devil, as the fear of nuclear war becomes reality once again. The reappearance of nuclear weapons is what triggers Yoru's memory recovery and massive power boost, allowing her to remember her true nature and her love for America. The Nuclear Weapons Devil coming back is a huge game changer that totally flips the power balance of the whole series, since it shows how humans can basically bring back their own fears even after they've been wiped out. Fire Devil. The Fire Devil is a devil that represents the fear of fire. At first, it's disguised itself as the Justice Devil, offering contracts to several people without revealing its true form. At some point, two brothers found the Fire Devil all banged up and decided to help it out. While they're patching it up, the brothers tell the Fire Devil all about how Chainsaw Man's their biggest hero, and try to convince it to team up with them to do good stuff. The Fire Devil's really moved by how determined they are, so it makes deals with both of them and gives them the power to turn into whatever their version of justice looks like. But then the younger brother gets killed during Denji's fight with the Cockroach Devil. Instead of saving either his brother or a car full of old people, Denji chooses to save a freaking cat. Feeling totally betrayed by the guy he used to look up to, the surviving brother swears he's going to get revenge, and starts letting the Fire Devil mess with his head. The Fire Devil basically moves into this guy's body and starts pretending to be the Justice Devil to guide him. Just like the real deal, this Chainsaw Man copycat can grow working chainsaws from his arms and head. The Fire Devil also made contracts with kids at the 4th East High School, all while pretending to be the Justice Devil. Nobody really knows if the Fire Devil was making these deals directly or if it was working through the two brothers to get it done. The exact number of students he made deals with is also unknown, but one of them was the class president. Driven by jealousy of her classmate, Asa, the class president, used her contract with the Fire Devil to transform her body into a monster capable of killing Asa. However, she was later killed by the War Devil after taking Asa's body. Another student, Yuko, also made a contract with the Justice Devil, which allowed her to read Asa's mind. The Fire Devil is one of the devils controlled by the Death Devil posing as Fami, and it turns out that members of the Chainsaw Man Church were all contracted through the Fire Devil through a large-scale mass wedding event, giving up their humanity in the process. The Fire Devil's main power is its ability to grant people the power to transform depending on what they desire. Unlike other devils, it doesn't seem to ask for a typical price in exchange for contracts. Yuko mentioned that the only price for her contract was to receive a heart that shines with justice. Since many people thought that they were contracting with the Justice Devil, their powers and transformations reflect this mistaken belief. For example, the class president, who wanted a happy ending with her teacher, gained the ability to transform into a horrifying blob of flesh with multiple heads, muscular tentacles, claws, and superhuman strength. In this form, she could move at incredible speeds and nearly killed Asa with a single attack. Yuko, who wanted to punish those who bullied Asa, gained the power to read minds and detect people's thoughts and feelings. She could also transform into a god figure with a brain exposed on her head and tentacles for legs. And numerous members of the Chainsaw Man Church were granted the ability to transform into partial copies of Chainsaw Man. The Fire Devil becomes stronger the more people it contracts with. As of now, there are about 350,000 people in the Chainsaw Man Church who are under its contract. After Denji chops off the fake Chainsaw Man's head and cuts him down, the Fire Devil crawls out of what's left of the copycat. It props up Denji for being strong and asks if he remembered what the fake's face looked like before all of this. After breaking down how the fake Chainsaw Man came to be, the Fire Devil calls out Denji for not remembering the imposter human's face, but says it's whatever since he's a devil anyway. The Fire Devil then tells Denji he's going to have to pick between two choices again, and warns him not to screw up the same way twice before disappearing. Angel Devil. Angel, the Angel Devil, embodies the fear of angels and works as a public safety devil hunter in Tokyo Special Division 4. What makes him unique among devils is that he's not hostile towards humans, but don't let that fool you. He's still considered dangerous because of his special ability to absorb lifespans with just a touch, and turns them into powerful weapons. Here's how his power works. If Angel touches someone with his bare skin, he can drain their lifespan, but if there's something like clothing or gloves in the way, they're safe. If the contact lasts too long, the person will die painlessly. When Aki grabbed his hand briefly, Angel estimated that Aki lost about 2 months of his life. Angel can store these stolen years and use them to create weapons, with their strength depending on how many years are used. For instance, using 5 years of lifespan, he could create a gold-handled sword from this halo that seems to instantly kill anyone it cuts without leaving any physical wound. On the extreme end, by burning through 1,000 years of lifespan, Angel can manifest a massive blood-red spear strong enough to run through the Chainsaw Devil in his weakened state. Aging Devil. The Aging Devil is the embodiment of humanity's primal fear of aging, and the main antagonist of the current arc. As one of the primal fear devils, it has never experienced death, since it represents a fear that's been around forever. It's likely been lurking around as long as humanity itself. This devil is shown to have a contract with 3 public safety agents. They cut off a finger each and write the word "hit" on mirrors in blood, along with the name of body parts, like the cervical spine or neck they're sacrificing. Once that's done, the Aging Devil delivers a devastatingly powerful strike to its enemy. Its powers are seriously broken. It can stop time. Like, literally. During a fight with Yoru, it throws a speeding bullet from Yoru's gun goddess weapon mid-flight and destroyed the bullet before sending Yoru and Denji to its own creepy alternate realm, known as the Aging's World. This alternate reality looks like a peaceful forest with a lake, but it's far from relaxing. In this place, residents don't need food or water and can't die, but they slowly lose their minds. After 1,000 or 2,000 years, if they reach some sort of answer in their madness, they can turn into trees. Trees that are still flesh and blood on the inside. Devils can even eat them to heal. Only after the tree rots in the soil and fully merges with nature can the person return to their original body in the real world. And if that wasn't enough, the Aging Devil can make anything, or anyone, rapidly age just by touching them. It can also whip up floating mirrors that link straight to hell whenever it wants. This lets it launch heavy attacks on enemies through these massive hands that look a lot like the Hell Devils. This power also works the other way around, with people being able to reach out to the Aging Devil using mirrors.